Melody.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Hello. Yes. So once again, my name is Selo Kuvuna. I always tell people Selo like Jello, just because
that's a smart way
it's
to tell me.
easier, to remember and whatnot.
Yeah.
And could you state for us your first and last name, please?
I am Melody Cruz.
Okay, Melody Cruz. And this church is called
Gospel Lighthouse Church.
Gospel Lighthouse Church
Yep.
in
Dallas.
Dallas, Texas. Okay, perfect. Nice. So I'm gonna get us started with some questions and whatnot. The first thing I want to know is what got you here to Gospel Lighthouse?
Okay. I'm gonna try to not make that one a long story. I came down here from Michigan to go to Christ for the Nations,
Okay.
and then I went through that and got married, and after that, I'd say about 6 months after we graduated, or no, like right after we graduated, we were searching for a new church. Lord was just leading us in a different direction. We were growing and stuff like that. And we have some friends who go here.
Okay.
And they told us about it, and we were like, okay, well, we'll come check it out. And the first Sunday we were here was a guest speaker. So we decided to come back again the next Sunday. And the next Sunday was Pastor Greg Headley telling us that he got elected into office. But we stayed because we felt like it was home even through that whole transition. We were going through transition, and so we just felt like it matched somehow. And a few months later, our new lead pastor, Louis Salazar, called us up and just started talking to us and asking us. They were looking for an outreach pastor and a kids pastor.
Wow.
And my husband's heart is evangelism,
Okay.
and I went to CFNAC for kids. So it was just really the Lord that brought us here, and then that's how we got hired on.
Yes.
So yeah, we didn't know it was open at all, and we were just here because we were searching for a new church, and it's just the Lord led us into being able to be full time here, which is awesome. Yeah.
And what is your title here?
Children's pastor.
Children's pastor?
Yeah.
Great. Nice. I was going to say coming down. Okay, the first thing I want to know is coming from Michigan, now dealing with Texas.
Yes.
How's the weather changing? How's the transition?
I love it. I've never liked the cold growing up at all. Like my mom will tell you, like I would bundle up and all this stuff, and I hated it. So I love Texas.
Okay.
I love the weather and all that. I don't love Dallas necessarily as far as in the city. I'm not that much a city person, but I love Texas. So yeah.
It's interesting that you say that because I'm coming from North Carolina.
Right.
So it's just like North Carolina, then Texas.
Yeah.
Technically, it's all the South, but the weather here is different.
Yeah.
Our hot is like not Texas hot at all. So it's like, you just got to be ready for it, like on all facets. And then I was just saying the whole transition period and everything like that, just because, like I was just saying earlier, my family's in North Carolina.
Right.
Of course, I plan on going into ministry and everything like that, but it's just like, how do you kind of wrap yourself into the mindset of, even though my family's in a different place, but to still hold down my calling that's down here,
right.
if that makes sense. How do you do that?
Well, my husband's from here, so that's one factor of it. Is if I wasn't married and I was single, I don't know if I would have gone to another state or somewhere else.
Okay.
I've never felt, growing up and all this, I've never felt like I was going to stay in Michigan. And so that made it easier for me because it's always been in my mind and my heart that this is not where I'm supposed to stay. And I feel called to missions as well. So, that's a part of it to where I know, like, I'm not supposed to stay there. So it's just always been something, it's kind of just flowed naturally, and it hasn't been difficult for me to be away from them necessarily. We still talk and FaceTime and all that stuff.
Still make it work.
Yeah, it was just natural. They knew I wasn't planning on staying, and I knew I wasn't, just because of what the Lord has called me to do. So that's really the biggest part, is that, and then being married to someone in Texas. If I wasn't, I still would probably have been here or somewhere in another state, probably not Michigan still. So yeah.
I was gonna say, you did bring up an interesting point, because Assemblies of God, we're kind of really big on missions and whatnot. So it's just like, you're kind of here now, but are you saying, when you say missions, do you say like another state in the U.S. missions, or are you saying if God calls me to be in another country, that's probably what would happen?
If he did, then I would be happy to go. I love going on international mission trips, and I would be open to living in another country. My husband's all very go to and wants to travel and do that stuff. So if the Lord calls us, we'll go wherever he says to call us. Whether that be another state or another country. I don't know. We both don't know what that looks like. We're just kind of listen to him,
Right.
you know,
And just
say, you know, what do you have? What's your idea, rather than my own idea of, you know, what a missionary looks like or what this looks like or whatever. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. Now tell me in regards to creative methods when it comes to dealing with kids. So, say, is it storytelling or is it something like maybe puppetry, doing with puppets and everything like that? Is there anything that you kind of lean towards when working with kids?
As far as a creative element, was that the beginning? We do add puppets in and different object lessons and things like that. But my favorite part of our teaching is our small group time afterwards.
Okay.
It just seems to be the most beneficial, and to be able to split the age groups and the genders and really get into asking them questions and, you know, going over, well, what did that mean to you and stuff like that. Actually getting them to think about it rather than it just being, you know, here's just the Bible story and here's this lesson and go home, because they're kids, so they're already going to have a hard time remembering those things. They've got a lot, they've got school, all this stuff. So getting that intimate time with them to just have a little bit more conversation and hear what they heard rather than just assuming they got it.
That they got it, right.
So that's my favorite part of it, although we do add in, we do have puppets and we do live worship once a month and stuff like that. So those are kind of our creative elements that I more go towards. They really like the puppets.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of anything else that we do. We do skits sometimes of the Bible lesson, or just of a real life application of what the Bible lesson is talking about in a skit form. So we vary it a lot. We're going to actually try to do a live art painting of the story soon. So they're
that's
painting
actually
the
become
story.
real popular too.
Yeah, we haven't done it yet, but we try to change it so we don't do like the same thing every single week. That way they're getting something different as far as the stimulating part of it that goes. So so we'll do puppets probably once or twice a month. We have live worship once a month. Kind of like
and just make it work.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, are there any challenges that come about when it comes down to kind of creating something that has a well balanced with biblical content and still making it appealing towards children? Are there any challenges that come about for that?
You know, not too often.
Okay.
I would say if we're trying to teach something that may be a hard concept for them to understand, we can run into some bumps and say, you know, we're trying to explain it and they're just, you know, blank faced because they're like, I don't understand why that's important, or, you know, because they're just not in that stage of life yet.
Right.
So there is definitely some stuff in the Bible that is just doesn't make sense to them just because they're not there yet. But we do use curriculum, so the lessons are geared towards them already, and as far as what they're going through and stuff like that. But not too many challenges. But
and I was gonna say, are there any rewards that you tend to see maybe after that you've seen the students they get something that you guys were trying to teach, or are there any, what are the long-term rewards that you guys end up seeing through the children? From creating like your own content and everything like that, and having that privilege of just seeing them go through it firsthand.
Yeah, a lot of times I will start to see attitude changes, and they'll start to actually understand why they're learning that, so they're paying attention more.
Okay.
And I can see that over the course of the year that I've been here. It's like, as we really tell them why they're learning those things, and rather than just saying, here it is, and you should know it just cause, which is what, you know, a lot of parents will say, well, because I'm the parent, you know, that type of thing. We don't want to do the same thing when it comes to we're teaching them the Bible, because a lot of the personality types want to know, well, why am I learning this, and why do I need to be listening to this right now? It's Sunday morning, I've been at school all week, you know, that kind of thing. They don't know that they're thinking that, but subconsciously they're thinking that.
Happens, right?
So telling them why this is important. This is why it's important to know all the books of the Bible, you know, like that type of thing, rather than we're just learning to learn or memorizing to memorize. They definitely will listen more. Like, their attention span has grown.
Okay. That's
one thing that I've seen in general. I'm trying to think, like, personally in different individuals. They grow and mature so much so quickly, and so it's hard to like really pinpoint which is which and who's growing in what area. But the parents will tell me testimonies about, well, I can see a change at home, and they were just telling me about this, or they're remembering their lesson and stuff like that. Like, they're telling me about it in the car rather than I don't know what I learned.
Right.
So those have been kind of the changes over the last year or so that I've been able to really see, because a lot of that first 6 months is just learning who each kid is and their personality. So I've really only gotten to see like, okay, well, how are they growing in the last 3 or 4 months? So yeah.
How is it like when you were saying that, trying to figure out each of the kids and everything like that? What about the quiet kids? Because you got to deal with the quiet kids who are just like,
Yeah, they tend to be harder, but I am an introvert myself, and so it tends to be who I go towards.
Okay.
If they're sitting on the side and they're really quiet, which tends to be a lot of the girls.
Okay. The girls are with the guys?
The girls are, yes, they're much quieter, much quieter. I have learned the boys way quicker. They're outgoing and they'll start talking to me way faster. Most of them. There's still a few, but there tends to be more girls between the ages of like 8 and 10 that are like still learning who they are, and so they're kind of shyer. So yeah, it definitely takes longer and takes more investment. But if you're intentional and notice that, which is what I've been doing, really seeing who is there that is going to sit nowhere near anyone, and being intentional about the amount of rows of chairs I have, because we're a shared space. We have an after school program, so they have to have a ton of chairs because they've got 100 kids in there, but I've got 50 on a Sunday. So if I have 100 chairs, they're going to be spread and they're not going to be community. So I changed that, and we reset the room, and we have you sit here, and there's still a couple spots where for the shyer ones it's not like I don't want to come in there because there's nowhere for me to be on my own, but not so much space to where there's this person here, this person here, this person here. So
how important is it to pay attention to the details? Because that sounds something like that.
To me, details are everything. You need to see the big picture, but if you're not seeing those little things and those start to fall through the cracks, the little things here and there, and it's the frog in the pot kind of concept where the water is just heating up and you don't even notice it. And so, you're going to lose that kid. They're going to start going to church with their parents because they don't feel like they have a place or that anyone's noticed them or said, I'm glad that you were here today. Just those little things. I mean, we're not in a huge room, so it's like I need to notice them, and even if they don't want to have a whole conversation with me, just saying hi and saying how's your week been
changes the game.
It makes them want to come back, even if they are shy, and keep doing the same habits. So noticing those details, having the details of just the amount of chairs, that type of thing, it changes the environment.
Wow.
So yeah.
No, the reason why I had to ask that is because, like, my sisters, they always get on me about, so you pay too much attention to little stuff that doesn't matter. And I'm like, no, how can you not pay attention to stuff like that? My big sister, she says, Selo, you need to stop taking things at face value and just stop thinking, she said, stop thinking deeper or something like that. And I was just like, no, because if you don't think deeper about it, then how can you really process it the way that you're supposed to? No, so thank you for saying that and clarifying. I'm going to show my sister this video and she's going to have to watch it, okay?
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and the last question I was going to have for you is for future leaders or ministers or pastors with kids who plan on working with kids or even youth in any aspect and whatnot. What words of encouragement or words of advice do you have for them?
Oh, man. I think my biggest thing is, encouraging wise, is that they matter and that this ministry matters so much. It's such a big deal. I mean, it's all through the Bible where Jesus is telling them, let the little kids come to me and stuff like that, like the famous verses. But really, you shouldn't brush over those, because all those people, even back then, were saying, make them be quiet, make them go. But Jesus says no. No, they have a place from the time that they're in the room, that they have a calling and they have a place, and they need people to pour in their lives more now than ever. There's so much going on in this world with, the LGBT, I can't even say the whole sentence without messing up, but their agenda and all this stuff, and not being able to bring Bibles into schools, and there's just a lot that is going against them, and they're in those school environments so long every day, and so to just be flooded with all of that, if they're, almost I'd say like 90% of schools is going to kind of push that on them, and so they really need those people on Sundays and Wednesdays and throughout the week that are going to pour into them and encourage them and help
Mm.
them to be able to stand up to that
Correct.
stuff and know why they believe what they believe.
Correct.
And not just say, you know, I'm going to believe whatever I want to believe, peace here, peace from here, peace from there. So
Yes.
my encouragement is just that it matters
Mhm.
and it's not going by the wayside.
Yes.
And be strong in it.
Yes.
It's not an easy ministry
Yeah.
because of that. There's
Mhm.
constant changes
Yeah.
going on in each age group's life.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter if they're 2 or they're, you know, 4. There's a
Mhm.
huge difference just in those 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, 10 between the ages of 9 and then they're 12, and
Yeah,
there's a
and
huge
then it's just
difference
to
in
get
that.
out
They're all
to-
going through their life
Yeah.
things, and everyone around them is like, "You'll be fine. You know, you're all right. You're just going through a stage."
Mhm.
No, it's real to them.
Right.
And what they're going through, that is their life in that moment.
Right.
And so they need someone to be their encourager and
Yes.
on their side. So
Wow.
it matters. And
Oh,
yeah,
no.
that's my biggest thing.
I love your passion behind it because it's like when I speak about kids and children and stuff, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You've been more than helpful. Can I give you a hug?
Yeah,
Can I
of
give you a hug?
course.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.